Welcome back to another recap of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under. I'm Michael James for Q News, and thank you for joining me. This week, we're getting down to the pointy end of the competition. With just 6 queens remaining, it could have been anyone's time to go. And sadly, this week, it was time to sashay away for the glorious Maxi Shield. Now, she joins me today. Good afternoon, Maxi.
Hey, darling, how are you?
Delightful. You do look glorious in gold there today.
Thank you. And people keep saying I look like an Oscar, but I'm going to say I look like a Logie, darling.
Oh, yes, a glorious Logie. Maybe the show will pick one up. Who knows? Now, what's life post RuPaul been for you so far? It must be just chaotic.
It is. It's crazy because, I've been doing this for a long time and, we all love the attention, darling. But now it's like international attention. It's just crazy, but fabulous at the same time. It's like this.
Well, yeah, it must be a lot of craziness. Like you've got like fans worldwide. You didn't just step off onto a show in Australia. You literally stepped into an international platform. So what's the craziest like fan moment you've had so far?
I've had a lot of people. I went to school with you, or the fans are pretty. Some are quite full on, and they fact checked you quite a bit as well. So there's been quite a few, actually, maybe you didn't do that. And I was like, yeah, I did. But, 1974, not 2021, love.
Now, speaking of which, I know it's rude to ever ask a lady her age, but it didn't actually really dawn on me until quite recently that you're much older than you look. And in fact, that you were the oldest queen on the show, which just completely went over my head. Did that impact how you approached the show and how you dealt with the other queens?
I think it was, I concentrated a lot more, Etceteра's 22 and fabulous. Like, she buzzes around and gets things happening. Whereas, I sort of need to warm up a little bit and get the motors going. So, you know what? I concentrated a lot more, as well as, I did, I have got a little bit of experience under my belt. I did take the whole show on as a learning thing. So I wanted to learn from these amazing performers, not only from Australia, but from New Zealand as well. So, outside in the outside world, the experience has helped. Inside sort of filming Drag Race, yeah, it didn't really.
How long exactly have you been doing drag for now?
24 years.
24 years. Wow. That's a long time.
I should get a real job.
Now you said on the show that you grew up in Central Queensland. Was that where you started doing drag?
Well, see, this is also another fact checked that. So I was born in Ballina, up near Byron Bay.
Yep.
And then I went to high school in Claremont, Central Queensland.
Yep.
And then I went to high school down the south coast of New South Wales in Nowra. So I was a bit of a gypsy. But in Central Queensland, we used to have a dress-up box. So I always used to we used to dress up, my brothers and sisters and I, and I'd be sort of the lead singer of a girl group, or a female school teacher. So mum sort of knew pretty early on that, I could be a lady of the lash.
Now, regardless of fact checking exactly where it was, that's a lot of really, I suppose, isolated regional places to be growing up in. What was that like for a young gay Maxi to be growing up in those areas?
I think I had it easy or easier because I was part of such a big family. So I had lots of brothers and lots of sisters. I think if you were in a family sort of one or two, it would have been harder. But I had sort of homegrown friends. So it wasn't as though I was isolated or what have you. So I think I really did have it a bit easier than a lot of rural LGBTQIA young kids.
That's fantastic. It's so good to hear, I suppose, positive stories coming out of that, because you're right. We hear so many negative stories from queer people growing up in regional communities. So that's beautiful to hear. And 24 years in the drag scene.
Keep saying that.
I know. Keep saying it because it's impressive. Like that's not a bad achievement. And you must have really been able to see the drag scene evolve over that time. What sort of evolutions have you seen?
See, I once again, I have to say, my life has been pretty lucky. It's been pretty lucky. I was lucky to start drag at the tail end of the Priscilla era, and I got to see a lot of the girls that were in the movie, and created that Priscilla drag, the Maud Boats, the Porsches, the Mogadonnas, the Trudy Valentines, all these legends I got to see performing in clubs and bars. And now to the RuPaul era, it's just crazy to see that drag now is on mainstream TV. Once upon a time, we were brought in as sort of the comic relief or the laugh, and now sort of drag is, families sit around and watch Drag Race, or they know who Courtney Act is, or they, it's pretty amazing.
I know, I love that. One of my coworkers, she's got 3 kids and 2 boys and a girl, and they're like ages 10 to 14, and they sit down with a husband and they watch Drag Race together every week. It's amazing. Would you ever even have thought that would happen 20 years ago?
No, never at all. And it's, what, it's incredible because it's about visibility, and it's about, making things that are just, I don't want to say normal. I hate the word normal, but, just seeing a drag queen or a trans person on TV, or a queer person, or, something that doesn't fit what you've grown up around, the visibility on TV and in media is so important. It's incredible that we're seeing it. And I hope that Australia gets on board and we see more and more and more and more of this. Absolutely.
And thank you for being a part of that. Now, speaking of that being the show, let's chat a few things about that. And I'm going to go straight into probably one of the most eventful things. Last week's episode, there was lots of shit went down, and you were part of that conversation about Scarlett's history. So I just wanted to get, what was your take on the situation and how it was handled and the fallout from there?
See, I'm a cis white gay man, and I think the world has heard a lot from cis white men. I think we need to stop and start listening to our Indigenous communities and raising their voices. When questions like this have come up, I say speak to our Indigenous performers, speak to Jojo, speak to Coco. She's a POC, incredible performer. We also have performers like Miscellaneous, who's based in Darwin, incredible Indigenous performer, as well as Nana Miss Kuri, who is an elder, a Gadigal elder here in Sydney. I want their voices to be lifted. I want people to listen to their voices, and I can't talk on that subject.
Totally understand, and thank you for platforming and telling us who else to speak to. I think that's the perfect way, and people should go out and find them. I'm assuming we can find them on the social medias and all of those things.
Of course you can. Nana Miss Kuri and Miscellaneous, and they're, they're incredible queens. They're so intelligent, and yeah, they're the people. When this all happened, I was speaking to them, and I want to listen to them and raise their voices. So more Indigenous performers, please. I'm waiting for it.
Thank you very much. All right, so that was one. So let's talk about the rest of the girls. There's only 5 left, but I suppose even out of all of them, who do you think has shown the most growth so far from the beginning of the competition?
Well, do you class art still in it? When the garbage comes back in and you didn't recycle it properly, That'll get back. Of course, it'll get back.
Not bitter at all, are we,
You
Joel?
know what? No, I don't give a rat's ass. I'm old enough, love. I think, you know what? I'm really happy to see that the world sees Kidda. I really love Kidda. We bonded over the pastries quite a bit, and she's just a wonderful queen. And all the queens are Karen, Art, Scarlett, Electra, but Kidda is really good. I've got a soft spot for Kidda, and I just love that her journey and her voice, and her creativity is now the world's. They can see how fabulous she is.
Absolutely. She had a really good journey. It was really nice to see that kind of, I suppose, hit a peak this week for her. So it was really great for Kidda. And you're right, they're all amazing.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So next one, who did you have the closest relationship with? I mean, it sounds like it was Kidda.
Well, this is, as the girls go, it changes. So Coco and I we're sisters. So we work together on Saturday nights at the Oxford Hotel in Sydney. So when she left, I did sort of get a bit of a close bond with Anita. So we would get ready in makeup stations together. So yeah, Anita and I, we, even during the sewing challenge, they were all sort of a bit catty, and Anita and I were like, should we jump in? And she was like, no, we have to concentrate. I was like, oh shit, okay. So we have that sort of bond. And then when Anita left, yeah, definitely Kidda.
Oh, they just kept taking your friends away. You had to make new ones.
I know. I must be the kiss of death.
So when you first walked in that workroom and you see all these girls, there's 10 of you in total. I mean, you already knew Coco as well. Who did you peg as your biggest competition straight out of the gate?
Well, when I got in, it was only Art. So I knew that sort of Art and Karen had this sort of reputation that they had a weight on their shoulders anyway. But I thought my only competition was myself. I was away from my partner for so long. I'd been doing it for so long. I wanted to show that, just because you're over 40 and, you may have a kilo or two extra on you, doesn't mean that it's all over and you're out to pasture. So I really concentrated hard and tried to do the best I could to sort of on a personal level.
That's great. Well, and regardless of where you placed, you did an amazing job. It was really beautiful to see you on the show. Like, you really seemed to thrive and you really seemed to love being there. And even when you had your setbacks, it never really seemed to knock you back. You just kept getting up and keeping on going and going. Now, speaking of getting up and keeping on going, sorry.
The whole time I was there, I was sort of, I even said to Michelle, I said, I tried not to do that stupid face, but I was just, they'd say a critique and I'd be like this. Because, it was just, hold on, RuPaul just said that the dress is beautiful. Okay. I tried not to be a fool, but it was really magical. It was fabulous. And it was an opportunity that, I didn't think that I was going to have. And I did. And I believe to take every opportunity you can.
And here you are in the Hall of Fame, one of the first 10 forever remembered. Now, out of all the eliminated queens so far, aside from yourself, who do you think most deserves a chance to come back?
Wow.
I know, what a bitch of a question.
Definitely can't bring myself back.
No, you're out of the running.
How come Art come back?
No. Oh, I don't know. We'll talk to Ru. I'll give him a call later.
You know what? I would love to see more of JoJo. JoJo, Coco, and I were actually in quarantine together, and we registered as a bubble, which meant that every 2 days we could go for a walk around the car park. So I had only known of JoJo and seen her a couple of times. So that 14 days, I got to actually know her quite well, and she's bloody amazing. And you know what? I wish she had more time. And if there is an opportunity to maybe jump out of a box, Shangela, JoJo's definitely my tick.
Beautiful. That's interesting. I didn't know that you got to quarantine together. So the three of you knew before you walked into the workroom that the other two were going to be in there.
Well, the thing was that we had to fly over together because we were all on the same plane.
Ah, pretty hard to hide that.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, girl. Where are you going? Nowhere.
There's only so much you can do. It's not like they could afford 3 different jets to fly you over or something.
I know. Yeah. My luck, I'd get the boat.
But it must be nice to have that company, though.
It was great.
Now, as we were talking about your critiques before, like this was a tough one, and there seemed to be some confusion about that theme. Do you think that you managed to meet the brief for this week's challenge?
Yes, it was family resemblance. We look like twins.
Yeah.
The dress design that we used was inspired by Beth Ditto. She wore a similar dress a few years ago on a runway. And yeah, she's very body positive. I wanted him to feel comfortable. We played with shapes, something different, and ours did look different, totally different. Yeah, so I think we ticked the brief, and it was to share the love of drag, and Silhouette loved it. So I think I was very successful.
Yeah, it did look great. So I suppose taking that on board, what did you think about your critiques that you got then? Should you have been in the bottom 2?
See, all the critiques that you get, you like Michelle said, I could have put a wig on the back because of the nape of the neck. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And, the black bra, I was looking down, I was like, yeah, you're right. So everything I agreed with, I totally agreed with. You know what? If it's the pointy end, as you said, there was 2 supposed to be in the bottom, and it was just luck of the draw that I was one of them.
Yeah, and that's what sucks when you're all so good and there's so few people left. It's like, got something showing here, got something showing there, boom, you're all in the bottom. Like I said, for episode 5, like every single person on that runway was top-notch look. There was nobody based on runways on episode 5 that could have possibly gone home. That just had to come down to like the yeast commercials. Like the 6 of you are so on point. It is literally just down to those little bits and pieces.
And once they say to you, oh, this could have been done better, as a performer that I've done so many years, I was like, shit, why didn't I think of that? Yes. And because you're in such a pressure cooker of a situation anyway, just those fine details that you normally would be like, I'll fix your bra, I can see your bra, come on, girl. It just is like, oh, shit, I missed that.
Hindsight's 2020, and it's a total bitch.
I know.
It?
You know what? All Stars International.
Fingers crossed. Now, speaking of seeing more of you, Maxi, we wish it wasn't your week to go this week, and we were very sad, but we know there is still a lot to see of Maxi Shield. Now, you have the cast tour, but most importantly for our Q News viewers, because we're Brisbaneites, you're coming to Brisbane and you're going to Fluffy.
On the 4th of July. It's going to be great fun.
Yes, I'm so excited to see that. Have you ever performed in Brisbane and at Fluffy before? I mean, sure, you must have.
I performed at Fluffy, yes. Oh, no, I haven't. I performed at the Big Gay Day a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, beautiful. I didn't even make it to Big Gay Day. I'm an awful person.
It was amazing. It was the first time I was there. It was amazing. It was so fabulous. And yeah, I think I did a Fluffy years and years ago, maybe 20 years ago when they first started.
Oh, full circle, because you're there for the Fluffy 20-year anniversary.
I know. And I'm bringing up a sexy boy as well.
Oh, very nice. So we can see Maxi Shield and her sexy boy at Fluffy, as part of the 20-year reunion spectacular, which is going for like 5 or 6 weeks. And that's going to be on Sunday, the 4th of July. Now,
I can't wait.
Is there anywhere else that we can see you anytime soon? What else is in the work for Maxi Shield? Have you got a song? Have you got a fragrance? Have you got a, I don't know. What have you got to flog for us?
Nothing yet. Come on. Nothing quite yet. I've got a new show at the Oxford Hotel on Oxford Street in Sydney coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So it's with myself, Coco Jumbo, and Come and Get It. So that's going to be lots and lots of fun. But yeah, the tour is coming up, so we're going to sort of focus on that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very, very much for joining us, Maxi Shields. It has been an absolute pleasure. As always, everybody out there, please ensure you press all of the buttons below, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will be back next week for our next RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under recap. I'm Michael James for Q News, and thank you very much to the glorious Maxi Shield.
Thank you. I'll see you soon, Brisbane.